Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Michael and today I'm going to share with you my recipe for my chicken noodle soup. And I've got a 7-pound hen here and I need to stew the chicken first. That's going to take the longest part of this recipe to prepare. So I've got my stock pot here and we're going to bring this over and we're going to put our chicken in. And with chicken safety, I'm going to go wash my hands. I'll be right back. And when you're preparing any kind of poultry or anything like that, you need to really wash your hands because you can really contaminate your kitchen very easily if you don't do that. So I've got my chicken in my stock pot now, and I've got some water here. This is 8 cups. I'm going to fill it up until I can get the chicken submerged and put about another inch or 2 inches above the top of the chicken. All right, I've got about 24 cups of water in that. It took quite a bit of water to get that big bird covered over there. So I've got some salt and pepper here. We're going to season this right now. All right, I've got my salt and my pepper now in my water with my chicken. I'm going to put the lid on it, take this to the stove. I'll bring it to a boil. Once it comes up to a boil, then I'm going to turn it down to about a medium low. And we're going to cook this until that chicken is falling apart. And then after that, I'll come back and show you what that looks like. So this should take about 1.5 to 2 hours to cook this chicken. Stick with me. I am back and my chicken is done and I want to take this out of the pot and I'm going to put it in this bowl over here and that way it will continue, it will cool down for me. And as you can see, the chicken is really done. I'm going to pull this over as far as I can get it so I don't spill any of my stock all over the countertop. All right, I'm going to let the chicken rest in this bowl here a little bit more so it can cool down. But you'll be able to tell when it's done, when you look at it in the pot, when you can start seeing it come apart on itself like that. So let your chicken cool down. Do not throw your stock away that's in your pot. You'll be using that in your soup. And I'll come back and we'll get started making our chicken noodle soup. It's not going to be much longer now that we've got the chicken done because it comes together really quickly. And I'll come back and show you how to make that fantastic chicken noodle soup. Stick with me. I am back and I've got my chicken pulled off the bone and I've got it cut up now and I've got my stock here ready to go. I wound up with 1 quart of stock and so I've got another quart here that I'll put in with it to make 2 quarts or 8 cups. So I've got my Dutch oven here and I'm going to put some avocado oil in the bottom of it. You can use any of the oils that you like. I've got this here. You can use a neutral if you like also, or you can use a olive oil if that's what you've got. All right, my oil is heated up now and I just chopped up a medium white onion. You can use any of the colors that you like on that. And I didn't give this a fine mince or a chop. I've got this in just kind of rough cut on that. And you can see what that looks like. With this soup, it's a real hearty chicken noodle soup. And you want some vegetables and things on your spoon when you pull it up. So I've got my onions in there. And now I've got 2 stalks of celery that I cut up, and I left those in fairly good sized chunks also. So you can cut them up as finely as you like, or if you want them a little bit on the smaller side, you can definitely do that. That is completely up to you. That is the one nice thing about making it at home, is you've got control over what goes in it and the texture of the soup. And I've got 2 carrots here, and I've got those cut up, and those are in about 1/4 inch size on those. And I'm going to go ahead and put those in. Now with this, we just want to soften these up just a little bit because we're going to continue to cook these in just a minute. The soup is almost done. The stew and the chicken is what took the longest part of it, but you can definitely shortcut that if you want to take a couple pieces that you've got and cook those, bake those in the oven. You can definitely do that. I just had a whole hen and I was going to be using some of the other pieces of the hen there in other recipes, so that's why I went on and stewed the whole thing. But if you want to, you could put a couple of chicken breasts in here or about 4 chicken thighs if you want that. That's completely up to you. The cans that you get in the store, those are great and convenient for what they are, but you can definitely add a little bit more meat. I really like a nice hearty soup, so we just want to give this a little mix around here just to kind of soften these up for about 3 or 4 minutes. All right, it's been about 5 minutes now and my onions are looking translucent. You can see what those are looking like there. Now I've got 2 cloves of garlic and I've got those finely minced. And with this, we just want to saute these between 30 seconds to a minute because garlic will have a tendency to want to try to burn if you let it cook too long without putting in your other liquids and things. So we just want to let's mix this around And you'll know when it's ready to go because you'll start smelling the fragrance of the garlic as it's warming up there in the bottom of the pot. So I can smell my garlic now. And like I said, remember, do not throw your broth away where you cooked your chicken, because we're going to use that. So I cooked this down just a little bit, and I filtered it out once I pulled the chicken out of it, and that rendered out about 1 quart or 1 liter. In this recipe, you need 2 quarts or 2 liters. So I've got another quart of my stock here. This is one that I made the other day in a previous video. If you've never seen how to make chicken stock, or if you've never seen how to preserve chicken stock in a pressure canner, I'll put those links in the description box below and you can go check those out. This is really good stock, nothing like homemade. Now, I've got 1 bay leaf and I'm going to put that in. If you don't like bay leaves, you definitely don't have to put that in there. That adds such a nice aromatic flavor to the dish. And I've got 1 teaspoon of dried thyme. And if you've got fresh thyme, you can use a tablespoon of fresh thyme. You can pull the stems off that and just use the leaves. Now we want to bring this up to a boil. All right, my soup base has come up to a boil, and I'm going to turn that down on low now. I'm going to simmer that for about 15 minutes, and we're going to periodically check that. What I'm looking for now are for the vegetables to get soft and tender. And also, while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and check for seasoning. We'll get me a couple of spoonfuls of my broth. Now, if you're using a commercial broth, definitely check that before you add any salt and pepper to it. I did not put any salt in the broth that I made because I always like seasoning as I go. So give that a taste, see what you need to put in there. If you need to add salt and pepper, do that at this point, and let this simmer with the lid on it for 15 minutes on low. I am back, and I just tested my carrots and they are nice and tender. That took about 11 minutes on those, so definitely you might not need the full 15 minutes depending on your stove. Everybody's stove cooks a little bit differently. I just put in 2 cups or 100 grams of egg noodles, and you can definitely put more or less of those, whatever you like. Just remember, those when they cook will swell up a lot, so they will take up a lot of room in your soup. So just be careful with that if you decide to add some more. And here's 2 cups or 250 grams of my chicken that I prepared. So let's put that in now. And I just cut that up into cubes, but you can pull that off into strips and shred that up if you like. I like a big bite with my soup. So we'll take a look at that also. If you want to add some more, if you've got more of your chicken, definitely add that. So now we want to cook this until the noodles are done. And check with your package on those. If you use fresh ones, then definitely check those. They're going to add a little bit more starch to your soup, which will make it a little bit thicker. So as these noodles cook, I'm going to check these, and I'm going to keep a watch on these, and we'll move on to the last step when these noodles are done. I am back, and my chicken noodle soup is done. At this point, we want to test it for seasoning to make sure we've got everything in it that we need. If you need to add a little bit more salt and pepper, you can do that at this point, or you can add anything else in there that you like above what I've added into it. And also, you want to grab that bay leaf that was in there. I just took that out as well, and you want to discard that. You don't want to leave that in there for anybody to eat. To add a little bit of garnish to it, I've taken some parsley from my garden and I chopped that up and put that on the top of it. And I also took half of a lemon and I squeezed that into the top of it. That lemon and that citrus just brings up the soup to another level. So let's take a look at our soup and see what we've got here. Look at these nice big chunks of chicken that we've got in there. And let's get some of these veggies there. Look how nice those are, and those noodles, how pretty that is. Let's give this a try and see what this tastes like. Look how hearty this soup is with those noodles that we've got in there and those big chunks of chicken, that celery and those carrots. All of this come together, it just makes such a nice hearty soup. You can't compare these to the cans. The cans have their purpose for what they are, but you can see how fast this came together. And if you've got that chicken already done, this will come even faster for that. There's a couple of shortcuts that you can use for your chicken. You can definitely cook some chicken breasts or some chicken thighs and cut those up. Or you can even use a rotisserie chicken. If you've got one of those, you can just pull the meat off of that. Oh my goodness. Such a good flavor in that. All of those spices are coming through. Those noodles, those veggies, that chicken, everything combined together is making this a fantastic chicken noodle soup. I'm gonna have me another bite. That is so good. If you like this content, maybe you might consider giving me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And while you're at it, check out one of these other two videos over here on the side. You might find something else you like. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you how your chicken noodle soup turns out. I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye now.